My name is Lucas Bartholomew Good, and I'm here at Sacred Heart Cathedral Preparatory High School to talk to you about a little thing called corruption in the government. In the late 1800s, industrialization and increasing opportunities led to many changes in American life. But as a seemingly prosperous country thrived, the reality of corruption emerged. With incentives such as money, jobs, public services, corruption crept in at all levels, from D.C. all the way down to City Hall. But this corruption led to a revolution to restore the political systems to an honest institution. Oh hey, I didn't see you there. The ability for this rise in corruption was due to the stress on public services. With rising population, the expansion of public utilities and public services was necessary. Well-organized political parties took them over, gaining control of their distribution, gaining control of the city and its government.
Political parties that were so successful at getting their members elected were called political machines. These machines had an overseer, much like a supervisor, that was called a political boss. The boss's job was to make sure that the machine ran as smooth and fluently as possible. The strength of the machines came from precinct captains and voters. In order to persuade the voters, precinct captains would offer jobs and public services to win the support of the voters. Political machines' most vulnerable and most loyal voters were the urban poor and newly found immigrants. The political machines would be waiting and embracing the immigrants as soon as they came and help them get settled in and ready to achieve whatever they plan to achieve. Political bosses also played a key role by offering jobs in exchange for votes. A masterpiece at the political machine was William Mercy Tweed. He and his political machine stole over $200 million intended for hospitals, municipal funds, and public services.
Yeah. Oh.
You again? Well, to gain support and to increase power, political machines turned to illegal and indecent methods, promising money on the side, laws catering to special businesses, or a turned away head when it came to inspection day. The most common was pocketing money on the side, gathered by their controlled public services. It came in all shapes and sizes, but with a common purpose.
Throughout the mid-1800s, government corruption relied heavily on grafts and kickbacks. These acts led political machines to gain an enormous profit. A graft was a crooked money-making scheme that involved political groups giving high-paid city works a simple return fee that the company then pays back to the politicians. These political machines were using tax dollars to pay for a public work and receiving some of the money back. Although these methods were illegitimate to say the least, some politicians practiced what you would call an honest graft. If you talk to my friend George Washington Plunkett, not to get confused with our founding father, but a state senator from New York and a member of the Tammany Hall machine, he will say,
A dishonest graft being one who works solely for one's own interest, while for honest graft, one pursues the interests of one's party, one's state, and one's personal interests all together.
Yeah, they always come from behind and shit, you never...
How do I change guns again? No! What was I going to say? Oh yeah, when honest support, graft and kickbacks are not sufficient, political machines turn to election fraud to maintain their grip on local governments. Political machines needed to maintain their power by having a large group of followers. When their follower turnout was not enough, they turned to immoral and illegal methods to sustain their moral control over local governments. Some illegal methods included election fraud. Elections were a crucial part of maintaining power. Political machines needed their politicians in the government to control decisions being made. There are many ways to sway an election. One of the more popular ways was to vote early and often. political machines would make their followers register in many places under fake names. They would go out in the morning, vote, then by late afternoon, switch clothes, wear a hat, shave, or drink alcohol to avoid recognition and go vote again somewhere else. Political machines also had influences on elections indirectly. Political machines such as Tammany Hall had a massive following group. Tammany Hall dominated the New York Democratic Party and had lots of influence on the Democratic Party on a state level. Tammany Hall regularly produced electoral majorities and had huge influences in local, state, and national elections. Corruption levels reached a level where they became less discreet, igniting a revolution to clean up the government. Major reformers included Charles Eliot Norton, George William Curtis, E. L. Godkin, who all pushed for moral renewal in the government and demanded a structural change. The main goal was to take power away from the political machines, who were hand-picking the candidates, and give it back to the people. Reformers pushed for the direct primary. The direct primary was a system where voters choose candidates who later run in a general election. America took the direct primary in 1902. However, people claimed it made it even easier for political machines to influence elections. The proposal for the 17th Amendment gave voters the power to elect their senators directly. It was ratified in 1913. The voting process was also reformed. Each political party printed its own ballots in a specific color, which made voting very unsecretive. To make it more secret, they introduced the secret ballot that they had been using in Australia. It was a uniform ballot with all the candidates on it. Reform also included initiative, referendum, and recall for the voting process. Initiative allowed voters to introduce legislation if 10 to 15% signed the petition, then voted for public approval. Referendum allowed recently passed law on a ballot, allowing citizens to pass or veto a measure. Recall gave voters the power to remove someone from office through calling a special election.
Oh, that's a foul! Oh, that's a foul! That's a foul! It's a foul!
My ball!
Come on, hurry up.
Pick it up, shoot.
Yes! I made it!
Corruption not only emerged in local governments, but higher up in the totem pole as well. All the way up to the president, in fact. During Grant's terms and presidential campaigns, scandals took place and were revealed.
Why, what, boy, you know? Come on. Hey, that was a foul.
Some of the most notable scandals include Black Friday in 1869 and the Whiskey Ring in 1875. Although the credit mobilier was exposed during Grant's term in 1873, it actually began the Lincoln administration. The Whiskey Ring occurred in 1875 when the government was gaining a large profit off whiskey taxes. Grant's secretary, Bristow, found out his personal secretary, Babcock, was involved and Grant protected him. He was able to, but in doing so, caused many enemies and unpopularity to arise, which ruined many chances for a third term. The credit mobilier scandal, which was exposed in 1873, was found to be stealing from the Union Pacific Railroad by secretly selling stocks at a lower price to government officials and Congress members. When it was discovered, it hurt the reputation of Grant's vice president. Black Friday occurred in 1869 when Jay Gould and James Fisk speculated to corner the gold market. They wanted to gain a lot of money by driving the price of gold up and lowering the supply. However, it backfired when Grant found out and had the Treasury sell gold to the people. This resulted in lower gold prices, which unfavorably affected many of the buyers. Another scandal included Secretary of War Belknap in 1869, who along with his wife sold an Indian trading post for a bribe of $12 per year. The House of Representatives wanted to impeach him, but the Senate didn't agree. Belknap, in turn, resigned in 1876, making him no longer an official and unqualified for impeachment. In conclusion, Grant's term in office was known as a failed administration due to his ignorance and inability to successfully gain Reconstruction and peace.